Hey everyone, this is Disc Junkie, and welcome back to the Mancave of Madness. So this is probably gonna be one of the strangest twists in this whole saga, and I'm just gonna come right out and say it because there's no point in sort of walking around this topic. But we are actually going to be moving again. Yeah, I know this would probably raise a lot of questions, seeing as the sort of all the talk I did in my previous video where I was, saying that, we want the effortless life and we want to move from a house to an apartment and all that. And I just want to clarify some stuff in the beginning, and that is that this was very much true when we decided to move. We don't had any sort of second thoughts about moving here because this was basically the only option available to us at the time. You see, we had a lot of issues with the house that we were living in. Primarily the fact that we had to sort of take care of our own road. We had a lot of road which we had to maintain during the winter, plowing it ourselves, and there was a lot of potholes, and it was just a whole lot of work. The same with the pool, which we also had to maintain, and it was just, I don't even want to talk about the pool. Don't get me started about the pool. My suggestion to you, and take this to heart, don't get a pool. If you want a pool, get a neighbor who has a pool. Then you don't have to do the work, because nobody likes the work of owning a pool. Seriously, just don't get a pool. But in any case, so a lot of the issues we had and the reasons why we wanted to move came from the fact that there was so much work to be done with our old house, and we didn't really get any sort of positive feeling back from it. I mean, obviously we enjoyed it, and when we moved there, we were at a very sort of different place in our lives when, we had to find a house quickly, and that's sort of why we ended up there. We also had a lot of positive sides at that time from living in that particular house. One of which was that my girlfriend was very active with agility, training with the dogs and stuff, and she was able to have like her own sort of training course and stuff at home, which was a big deal. And there was a lot of stuff like this which were perfect for us when we moved in. But over the years, things just essentially changed. We had a lot of dogs when we moved in. Now we just have one, and he's like super cool and simple and very sort of apartment friendly, so to speak. And it just became this thing where, Anna has a big part of this, in that she has always had this dream of having horses and owning a horse, and also being able to have that horse nearby, sort of having it at the house or having it at her own yard, or I don't know what you would say, like basically having it at home so you can tend to it and actually have like horses have your own little stable and stuff. So this has been a big dream for her, and part of the reason why we were sort of feeling that we wanted to move was because we initially thought that we were going to have that at our own place. She got a horse a few years ago, and since then she has sort of been, moving it between stables and stuff that hasn't been at the house or at our home. And she always wanted to have her own stable at home, but we realized that with the grounds and the sort of environment that we had at the old place, seeing as it's like this old sort of swamp ground, you can't really keep horses there, because the ground is not, it doesn't work for them. It's too soft or mushy or whatever. So with that, her dream of having her own stable sort of died, and then she's sort of felt that, it's not worth it. And I was also a very big part of this, because I was also getting so tired of this house with all the maintenance on the pool, which kept leaking, and just various amount of things which came with that particular estate, which we didn't like. So, flash forward now to us having lived in this apartment for a couple of months. We basically picked out this particular apartment, and it's a rental apartment because this was the only option that we had at the time. We had this idea that we wanted to get like our own horse farm, if you will, and basically live on the countryside still, but being able to have horses and have our own stable. Or, you know, this is Anna's hobby, not so much mine, but it was something that we were looking for. The problem was that at the time when we wanted to move, there wasn't any kind of farm available to purchase. And so we decided that we were gonna, you know, grab a rental apartment like this and sort of see how we felt about it. Potentially, we were thinking that we were gonna live here for quite a while, maybe a few years, and then, you know, once something popped up, we'd move. But seeing as the situation is now, is that we actually found a farm which we really like, and it is a bit further away than our old house was in terms of talking like countryside. It's a bit more countryside actually. So there's gonna be like, you know, a bit further away from work and all that, but it's also just perfect for us, I think, because it's like, it's got everything we need, and it's just feels like we would be really happy there. So that's why we want to go away. And also, I mean, for me, I don't know, this man cave is not cutting it. I mean, I think I've been able to do some cool stuff in here, definitely, but I've also been really sort of holding off on finishing anything because I felt like this, it doesn't feel like home. It doesn't feel like this is the place where it's gonna be. And it's also not nearly as large as I want it to be. You can see that I've got stuff everywhere, just cramped in. I haven't really organized yet because it's just not quite enough room, which is also why I moved a lot of stuff over to the living room, as you saw in an earlier video. And so I guess to summarize it, this is just a question of us feeling that, honestly, I don't think apartment life is for us, at least not now in this part of our lives. And another part of this is that, to be honest, the neighbors are ridiculously noisy. No, but yeah, it is true, but that's not the only reason, because you know, we both just feel that living in the city, so to speak, or living like this close to society, people are just dicks. I mean, seriously, it's like, how are people not functioning in society, or how are we not functioning in society? So yeah, we have already started missing that part where you can live by yourself in the woods and not having to take sort of other people so much into consideration. And so yeah, we just feel that we're not really done with countryside living. We just had to pause, and we have to relocate to a place where we can sort of focus more on what we want out of life. So Anna can have her horses, and I can sort of get the man cave that I want. I mean, I was really happy with the old place, but I was also outgrowing it to some extent. So yeah, I think we just need a change of scenery, and so that's what we're doing. So yeah, it's time to it's time to box everything up again, and I don't think I'm gonna be as detailed about it this time, because it's gonna take so much time anyway. But obviously there will be more man cave videos coming up, and I will definitely be showing you the whole build-up and the introduction to the new place once we get there. But for now, I just want to finish this off by showing you a little bit of the stuff I've set up. And the reason behind this is that I'm only making these videos for you guys. I mean, the primary reason for why I keep doing this is because it's, I mean, I want to inspire people. Some of the best messages I get from YouTube and on Instagram and stuff is when people just tell me, like, you know, I started watching your videos years ago, and then I started collecting movies. I wasn't really into limited editions or stuff like that before, but seeing your passion about it sort of made me see something different. Or maybe they're watching my Mancave videos and being like, you know, you got such an interesting setup and style, and it's so creative looking, and this made me want to do something similar. Or maybe they want to start making YouTube videos of their own. That's also one of the things which I've heard over the years. And this is the kind of stuff that makes me feel like, you know what, it's actually worth something. You know, making these videos is actually worth the time and the effort. And so that's also part of why I want to end this by actually showing you a little bit of this room, because I feel that, you know, it's still worth it. It still means something. And the time and effort I spent here putting all this stuff up is also worth something. Even though we're not going to be living here, it's just, hopefully, if I show this in some extent at least, not super detailed, but a little bit, maybe this will be inspiring to some people. Maybe they will get ideas out of what I've been able to do with this limited space that I have in terms of, you know, storage and IKEA hacking and all that. So without further ado, let's just look a little bit closer at what I got going on. So right away, if I flip the camera, you will notice that I've actually switched over to fisheye mode. And I'll sort of keep mentioning this because it's a bit of a new thing for me, but I like it because, you know, it really gives a nice visual aspect to the room where you can sort of look at it from different perspective, and it gives it a whole new sort of sense of, I don't know, it feels larger, to be honest. And but you're, you know, getting more of the, you know, real life feeling of standing here in terms of, you know, it's not as claustrophobic, and it's sort of, you know, I think it gives you a better view of what the room looks like. So as you can see, I have put up a couple of spotlights. This is stuff that I had from before. And apart from that, there's really not too much thought through lighting in here. This is something which I haven't really gotten around to. And there's also a lot of the stuff here is things that I basically put up for display fairly quickly, and I haven't really finalized it. Like here, it's just a shelf where it's just mashed stuff in. This is not thought through in any kind of way. There's also some VCRs and stuff. So yeah, a lot of this center section is not really done, and I don't intend on finishing it, seeing as we are now about to move. But some little details I can show you here is, for example, a little found footage section, which I've been working on. So I got some stuff like that, some mockumentaries. And there's also the Texas Chainsaw collection, which ended up becoming these two shelves in terms of, you know, how much I needed for them. And this is also very thrown together. I haven't sorted any of the tapes, so this is all Texas Chainsaw, but it's very mixed. Here is a bit of a display section, which I sort of started working on with some of my TCM items, but I could have done it differently. I just wanted to make something to sort of try to get a sense of what the room was like. But very quickly I started realizing that, you know what, it's not enough space. It's not going to work like the way I wanted to. So I didn't really put my heart into everything here. Then we got more Texas Chainsaw stuff, a bit more of a display. And over here, we move over to action movies. So this entire shelf is action movies. And here I started with a sort of, you know, Christopher Nolan, yada yada type theme. But once again, it's not entirely thought through. So then obviously at the end here, we got some books, some mixed stuff. Nintendo, it's just a very mixed shelf, but more like it's not really movies, it's more about other stuff. And I'm, you know, trying to do this in some sort of a coherent way where I can keep track. Over here is a small Dexter section which I set up, which I thought was kind of nice, apart from the little memento wallet there. But yeah, so this became a really cramped area, and these are custom shelves. So this is a 44 centimeter shelf, which I built myself from a wider regular 80 centimeter billion, and I actually shortened it. And the same goes for the shelf on that side. So those are not standard issue. Then over here is the science fiction section. I placed some Minority Report stuff, Terminator Endoskull, and just, yeah, it's just random generic sci-fi stuff in there. Here started out me trying to create a bit of a horror section, and I also got a display here with this lovely little homemade demon head, demon baby, which my friend Movie Horror, aka Betty, made for me. You probably remember her from some of my VHS Collectors Gathering video where we went to Sala last time. And so, you know, it's just some random sort of horror style items here, creepy dolls, and yeah, you can see what I'm talking about. And apart from that, it's basically all horror in this particular shelf. Then we move over to this, which I'm trying to remember what I went for here. Oh yeah, this is all the thrillers. So this entire section is thrillers. I made a bit of a display with a Mindhunter theme. Got my 2 Mindhunter editions here, as well as the Sony TC501-2, the classic reel-to-reel recorder, which is actually used in the show, or specifically used in the intro. You can see it on the cover there, actually. Aside from that, all thrillers, not sorted in any kind of way, just stuffed in there. So I honestly have no idea how I'm going to deal with this once I unpack them the second time, or how I'm going to box them down. I'm guessing I will box them based on genre, because that's the way it's sorted now. But if that's the way I'm going, once I'm moving to the new place, I have no idea. But in any case, the next portion here is a lot of special interests. Like, I got all of my Vinegar Syndrome releases. I also got all of my sort of retro editions, like it's basically new movies that are meant to look old, or they're released in VHS editions, even though they're from the modern day, so to speak. There's also a section in the middle here where I put a lot of sort of occult items, some Satanism related stuff and erotica and things like that. So here are just some classic books. We got the Satanic Bible, we got my fawn head, got the little cat doing his little Satan symbol or rock on sign, depending on how you want to look at it. And yeah, so some stuff like that. Then we got some Super 8 movies and some more books at the top. Over here is the erotica section. Bunch of DVDs, VHS, Super 8s, all pretty hardcore stuff. We got my 2 Super 8 projectors. Then we go on to all my weird tapes down here, which is just bizarre, like instruction manuals and stuff like that. Up at the top, we got more erotica. So we got an entire erotica section on the top shelf here, which I've showed you in a previous video. And then, all the way over, it's just more erotica tapes. And speaking of which, we can just look at the top of the room here. You can see that I've been working with quite a bit of display, and this is, I gotta say, looking really, really sort of cluttered and stuffed, because I don't really have the space that I need, to be honest, or at least that's my opinion of it. So a lot of this stuff that I placed around the room is very sort of, I wouldn't say unplanned, but I've really had to sort of struggle to get everything up here into some sort of order. So yeah, it is very mixed, definitely, but this should at least give you some idea as to what I've been deciding to display. But anyway, where were we? Yeah, I was talking about the erotica. There is, this whole display section, which I was talking about in the previous Mancave video, with this little tabletop and stuff. I'm feeling really happy about this. I thought it was a fun project, and I might return to this in a future video, because I'm, depending on what the situation looks like at the new place, I might rebuild some kind of section like this, but I don't know, we'll see. That's very much dependent on what I decide to do. But aside from that, we do have some more books, random stuff in the side shelf here. And then we come full circle with the erotica section, which I mentioned in the previous video. So that is essentially it. And I can also show you, in case I forgot to do this in the last video, what the room looks like with the new sort of, pole section here, which I was working on in the previous video that you saw of the Mancave series. And so this is what the room looks like when you're coming in, and I definitely think this works to the room's favor. I think it turned out really cool in terms of what I was able to do with the time that I had before we decided to move again. So yeah, I think this should give you a fairly good idea of what everything looks like, and hopefully this will give you enough energy and enough positive excitement that you want to stay with this series. So yeah, that is basically it for this video, and hopefully you think this was worth it, and hopefully you will keep coming with me on this journey. And a lot of people might think like, oh, this video was so not worth it, why did I even make this, seeing as I'm gonna pack everything up. It feels like the project is, I think a lot of people in my position would not have made this video. They would just have posted something like, oh, you know what, we're moving again. But I wanted to share this with you because I still think it has worth, even though it feels like it's very anticlimactic for me and I put a lot of work into it, which is now sort of not really worth it. But yeah, that's it for me today. I really want to say thank you for watching, and as usual, hope to see you all next time.